excellence and decision gets smarter by the second. It's going to be an amazing, distinguished lecturer program, which is one of our core values with the Society of Petroleum Engineers International, where we are poised with disseminating technical information for smoother production of energy for the world. So on behalf of the both section, SP Nigeria, SP Abuja, SP Port Harcourt, we say welcome to our DL today. Of course, today we are looking at a very, very interesting topic, enterprise AI, large language models and beyond. I can see 16 amazing participants on the call. I don't know where you're joining us from, but do me a favor. We make our chat box very engaging during our session. So go to the chat box right now. Let's know which part of the world you are joining us from, the first, and then give me a short response to these questions. Which AI tool are you using to work smarter in your organization? Do you get me? Let's know the part of the world you're joining us from, and then tell us just one AI tool that you're using to work smarter in your organization. I'm going to be going to the chat box. I'm going to be reading it. And of course, I will be excited to know which AI tool you are using. Okay, what the part of Nigeria you're joining us from and which AI tool. While you're doing that, I kindly appeal that you share this link to your colleagues on their WhatsApp groups. Share it as far and wide on LinkedIn. Just share it around. We need a lot of people joining this call and learning from Bo Rollins, who has joined us to make us learn. Okay, let me go to the chat box and see what my friends are saying on the chat box. Emmanuel Chimezie, joining from Jahi, Abuja. So Emmanuel, which AI tool do you currently use to work smarter? I'm not seeing it. Okay, Emmanuel says he uses Chat GPT and it's working for him, but I don't have a laptop. Wow, you don't have a laptop? We hope you get a laptop. ChatGPT works on phone, so yes, you're lucky. Yeah, thank you, Emmanuel. Let me see, who else? TA from Port Harcourt, ChatGPT. Everybody's in ChatGPT. Omar Ahmed, ChatGPT. Wow. Does it mean that it's only ChatGPT we know about? We don't know Claude, we don't know Gemini and all of that? Okay, just keep dropping them. Let's see. So ChatGPT wins the race as the most usable AI tool we have by our members from SP Abuja and Port Harcourt. So please keep dropping them. What part of Nigeria are you joining us from? And which AI tool do you use to work smarter? We are asking this question because later today, Bo will be speaking on the theme enterprise AI, large language models and beyond. So let's know. So once again, you're welcome to this event. Please, we advise that you share the link to your colleagues on all WhatsApp platforms that you are on. Share it on LinkedIn, your staff, your colleagues, share them on your private WhatsApp groups. Let's have as many people join. On the screen, Simeon, you can see the next slide. We have the agenda on today's event. Of course, this event is built to last for about 2 hours. And of course, the agenda is on your screen. After this, my opening introductions, we'll have the national anthem, and then I'll give the safety brief. Thereafter, we'll have a welcome address by the section chair of SP Port Harcourt. And then we'll introduce the moderator for today, introduce our speaker, and then we have the technical presentation that will last for 40 minutes. Please, during the presentation, endeavor that on the chat box, you're dropping your questions, and you're also dropping your key takeaways on the chat box where we would be reading and following up. Then we'll have the certificate presentation, a photograph about us, some announcements, and a closing remark. It's going to be a very interesting, a very, very amazing technical session, of course, a DL. Okay, let me go back to the chat box. I see we have about 27 people. And after this, I would quickly ask us to take the national anthem. Let me just choose Igwe, joining from Port Harcourt. I currently use Cloud and Gemini the most. Amazing. Thank you. Just to size Boraka today. Maji Samuel from Akwa Ibom State. Maji, which of the apps do you use the most? Of course, I'd like to read about which AI tool you use the most. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to recognize some of our leaders on the call. We have several leaders that have joined us on the call. And of course, it is our pleasure to recognize them. We start by recognizing the visionary leader with excellence, of course, the chairman of SPE Port Harcourt section, the man that just led and made us enjoy the first ever Well Intervention Summit in Nigeria. Please help me celebrate Dr. Pringle Egbe on the call. A warm evening to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening, all.
Yeah, thank you. A pleasure to have you on the call, and thank you for all you do for the SPE. We also have on the call the Master of Programs Delivery and Impact, of course, the Programs Chair of SPE Port Harcourt section, Solar Robinson. Please celebrate her. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us on the call. Okay, I guess she is going to join us shortly. Also on the call, Your Excellencies, is the section chair of SPE Abuja section, our collaborator for today's event. Please help me celebrate the one and only engineer Ikechukwu Okafor, PhD. Please help me celebrate him. Okay, I guess it's not on the call. Of course, on the call, Your Excellencies, is the Curator of Knowledge and Innovation for SPE Port Harcourt section. Of course, we're speaking about another leader here, the Technical Information Chairperson, Ofure Chizi. Welcome, Ofure. A pleasure to have you on the call.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. For want of time, we are doing a blanket recognition for all board members from both sections, Abuja section, Port Harcourt section. We say a warm welcome. You can see the white picture for Abuja section and the SPK for Abuja section on the call. Welcome to all of the board members. We welcome you. Also on the call is the moderator for today's event. He's a senior business analyst at Renaissance Africa Energy Company. Please help me welcome engineer Emmanuel Uday. Welcome, sir. Confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir, for joining us. And of course, our speaker for today, drum rolls, please celebrate him. Data Science Advisor, Emerging Technologies, Devon Energies, Bo Rollins. Welcome, Bo.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Bo, for being part of today's call.
Yeah.
Okay, we welcome all us. Yeah, who's speaking?
Yes, sorry, this is Pringle. We have one of our section director, Mr. Felix Anipo. I don't know if you can also recognize him too. Thank you.
Okay, yes. A section director from SPE Port Harcourt section, Felix on the call. Welcome, Engineer Felix. We celebrate you and recognize you. We'd like to hear your voice, sir. Okay, I guess his mic is muted for now, but we recognize you and welcome you. And of course, all senior members, all board members, all section directors from both sections, we say welcome. Okay, I can see that Engineer Ikechukwu Okafor has finally joined. Welcome, section chair from Abuja section. Welcome, sir. Nice to have you here, sir.
Thank you, Akpan. Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, we switch gears to the official side of the event. How will we do it better than recognizing our nation, Nigeria? I kindly appeal that we chant the national anthem, the first stanza, as we kickstart the event. Please join me in 3, 2, and 1. First stanza.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land, though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign fatherland.
May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Switching gears to the safety brief, we kindly like to share the safety brief. Of course, SPE is very particular about safety. On your screen, you have the safety brief. Kindly appeal that you use the chat box to record your ideas and questions. For questions, put a Q before your questions, and for the comments, put a C before the comment. Make your points clear and direct to save time. And of course, we kindly appeal that for the course of this event, you leave your microphone on mute so that you may not cause interference during our deliberations today. We also advise that you should be interested in the meeting, so that the meeting is very interesting. We understand that it's close of work and some of you may be driving home. Please use your Bluetooth device for your cars so that you may not have an accident on the road. Of course, we believe we'll have a very, very safe and interesting deliberations today. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we switch gears to the very next agenda, which is the opening remark for today's event. Of course, the opening remark will be taken by our section chair, who is the president of strategy and director at Western Point Energy Services, a self-driven reservoir engineer passionate about turning data into powerful business decisions. Of course, he is the visionary who saw the execution of the 2026 Well Intervention Summit, which shook the energy sector some days ago here in Nigeria. Please, with some virtual applause, let's welcome Dr. Pringle Legbe for his remark. Over to you, Dr. Pringle.
Please confirm you can hear me. Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Okay.
Okay, section chair, you see on the call?
Please confirm you can hear me. Sorry.
Yes, we hear you, section chair, please. Right on. Sorry, somebody here in our section chair. It seems I'm not hearing him.
No, I think he's having some difficulties.
Okay. I guess section chair.
Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now.
Oh,
go ahead, sir.
sorry.
Wow, we're not hearing you again. I guess we can continue the event with remark by the next available board member on the call. Programs Chair of SP Abuja, Programs Chair of Vodacom, are you on the call? We may have to continue the event with probably a remark from the section chair of SP Port Harcourt of Abuja section, I beg your pardon. Engineer Pringle, are you still there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, that's fine. So let me continue. Okay, it is my pleasure to, as the section chair, to welcome you to our today's distinguished lecture program. Our section is proud to be recognized as one of the most active and vibrant sections in Africa. Events like this reflect our continuous commitment to knowledge sharing and professional development, staying ahead in our evolving energy landscape. Today's lecture, Enterprise AI, a large language model beyond and beyond, is both timely and highly relevant. As the energy industry undergoes a digital transformation and technology shift, shows artificial intelligence is reshaping how we operate, make decisions, and create value. This section provides us with a valuable opportunity to deepen our understanding of this innovation and our practical application. We are practically honored to host these distinguished lecture experts in data science and emerging technology. We look forward to gaining insight from his wealth of experience. I would also like to appreciate the collaboration with Abuja section and the knowledge sharing effort and the knowledge team for putting up this together. To all the participants joining us today, I encourage you to actively engage and ask questions and take full advantage of this learning opportunity. Once again, you are welcome, and I wish you all a insightful and rewarding section. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Section Chair. Of course, you've heard from the most active Section Chair in Nigeria. Thank you so much, sir. He has said that you should engage, participate, as this theme is really, 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 really timely at a moment like this. Enterprise AI, large language models, and beyond. Today, we'll be listening to Bull Rollins, and to manage the entire session is our moderator for today, who is already ready to take center stage. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, our moderator is a senior business analyst at Renaissance Africa Energy Company Limited. Of course, with 13 years of experience, deploying data analytics and digital transformation solutions across upstream oil and gas, he is a certified Power BI data analyst and Microsoft Power Platform specialist. He has worked at the intersection of enterprise technology and E&P operations at Shell and Renaissance, delivering measurable impact across data migration, vendor management, and AI-enabled workflows. He brings to the moderator role a practitioner's understanding of enterprise AI, large language models, and digital transformation, informed by years of deploying real technology solutions in one of Africa's most complex upstream operating environments. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next 40 minutes, he would manage the session and, of course, take your questions. Help me welcome Senior Business Analyst, Renaissance Africa Energy Company, Engineer Emmanuel Ude. Warm evening to you, Engineer, sir. Confirm you can hear me and you can see me.
Yes, I can, and I hope you can hear me also and
Yes,
see me too.
Of course.
Fantastic, fantastic. I almost didn't recognize that you were introducing me, right, when you started out, but thanks a lot for those, right? And I think today is very timely, right? I mean, but let me start first of all by saying it's a pleasure to be here. And today is very timely because as we continue looking across the landscape of our energy industry today, right, we are moving past the era of simply collecting that data, right? We are now entering the realm of trying to integrate it and use it, to produce insights that will allow us to take our business intelligence, right, to the next level. Our industry is sitting over with decades of unstructured data. We have decades of drilling reports. I mean, with a very mature basin like ours, right? Interpretations, logs. The challenge continuously is how do we turn this mountain of text, not just structured, but also unstructured, into actionable intelligence, right? And I think today it's no better than having our speaker, who is someone who has been right there in the thick of it, deploying fantastic solutions, across our industry, right? So I'm introducing our distinguished speaker, Bo Rollins. He has a wealth of experience. I mean, bringing 18 years of that, solving upstream oil and gas problems, right? He specializes in delivering innovative and collaborative solutions to complex business challenges. You know, his work spans technology, you know, and business leadership, building teams to solve critical analysis and modeling issues in subsurface, engineering, and corporate teams. Bo has served as a steering committee member for the 2024 SPE AI Forum, and he holds a BS in Management Information Systems and Ethics from the Mid-American Christian University, and an MS in Analytics from the Texas A&M University. I think before I hand over to Bo, right, I would also just want to enjoin each and every one of us, right? Like Akpan has said, and the SP chair for Port Harcourt also has said, please make this as interactive as possible. Drop in your questions. I'm sure with the wealth of experience that Bo has, no question is too difficult for him to answer, right? He'll give it his best shot. And we are here to also support him. Make this as interactive as possible, and try to engage, because if we look at the wealth of experience he's not bringing only a practitioner's perspective, right? He's also bringing an industry-wide rich experience, you know, to help us to get the best out of today's distinguished lecture. So on this note, I will hand off to Bo to take it from here.
Thank you for that introduction. While we're getting our screens set up, I want to express my regret for not being able to go in person. I was very much looking forward to experiencing the very famous Nigerian hospitality and to see your beautiful country. I had my visa acquired and all the necessary medications for travel, but the Middle East conflict and travel complications in my own country caused us to pivot. And I also want to express gratitude to everyone that worked so hard to set up this virtual event. I only know a little piece of what all it took, and even that little piece was very impressive. So thank you to everybody who organized this event. With that, we will get started with the presentation. Today we'll be discussing enterprise AI, large language models and beyond, compound systems for oil and gas. My name is Bo Rollins, and I work at Devon Energy. The agenda for today will be the big idea of enterprise AI, knowledge worker efficiency, enterprise efficiency, process efficiency, and the formula for effective AI solutions. We want to use this technology so that our professionals can use digital efficiency to focus on value. All of us work digitally now, and that work can fall into one of two buckets: recurring digital tasks and tasks that actually make a professional impact. If you were to honestly assess how much time you spend each week per bucket, it may look something like this. A, where a majority of your time is a recurring digital task, all the way to C, where a majority of your time is spent making a professional impact. And a digital task could be preparing for a meeting, could be taking notes, could be trying to find data, could be trying to work with that data. How many of the participants are C, where the majority of your time each week is spent making a professional impact and a minority is spent on recurring digital tasks? That's the common response. I've given this talk to over 1,000 people, and everyone I talk to is A, professionals of all kinds. They are A, we want to use this technology to shrink the amount of time that those recurring digital tasks take so that every professional maximizes the professional impact they can have in their organization. The big idea of enterprise AI falls into three categories. The first is public LLMs. LLM is an acronym for large language model. This is made by big tech companies out there in the world, and they're always enhancing them. We have cutting edge capabilities coming from the marketplace to us that we're very excited to utilize. But we have security concerns about putting our organization's proprietary data on a publicly available LLM. We use these personally with personal accounts for personal things, but we don't want to use these on enterprise level things without specific safeguards in place through contractual arrangements with the provider. The second domain are in-app LLMs. These are LLMs that are coming to the applications that you work in all the time for word processing or making presentations or working with spreadsheets. These LLMs have app-specific capabilities that make them useful at interacting with that app. But the challenge that we have with them is that they have limited connectivity. They can't, the Excel app can't reach out and ask the word processing app for something, or it can't reach into an enterprise database. So it's useful for a very clearly defined, narrow scope of work inside that application. What we wanted was a single chat interface that gave every professional all the digital creation capabilities of the language models, in addition to accessing our internal data and leveraging our external data subscriptions. We can include enterprise-specific capabilities, safeguards, governance, oversight, all of that. Our challenge was 2 years ago, we couldn't buy anything that could serve this purpose, so we had to build one. The rest of this talk is going to focus on this specific idea of an enterprise AI that gives all of these capabilities to every professional across our organization. So why should we care about this? No matter what you do at your company, all of us now work digitally. We all need to find information, whether that's unstructured data in presentations or structured data in our databases or data online. We all need to search more efficiently. We need to process more amounts of data more efficiently. We need to create outgoing information that influences other people to take action on our ideas. We constantly need to learn. This environment of technology does not stand still, and there's always new concepts to learn. The challenge is that we're so busy with our normal work that we don't have time to hardly do any of these things. In all of these challenges, we want enterprise AI to help. No matter how capable AI becomes, it will never be culpable. It will never be responsible for actions that were taken in the real world. This is important for leaders to understand. These are tools to empower professionals. We should never make the mistake of confusing a hammer for a carpenter. The professionals that use these tools should always take ownership of your decisions and actions, regardless of what the AI says. You are the responsible party. These are tools to speed you up in those responsibilities. There are 3 kinds of interactions with enterprise AI that we're going to cover today. The first we call knowledge worker efficiency. This is where a professional interacts directly with a secure large language model for text-based digital tasks. The second is where we introduce a layer of enterprise resources in between the professional and the secure large language model. This layer has access to our enterprise content, our presentations, our papers, our data. We refer to this as enterprise efficiency. The third is where we take the tasks that are being used on a regular basis and we remove the chat interface and we write code that performs that task on a schedule on enormous amounts of data. It stores its results and insights back into a database that is surfaced to as many users as needed in normal BI tools. We refer to this as process efficiency. We're going to dig into each one of these three interaction types. So let's start with knowledge worker efficiency. The big idea here, this is for the busy professional. This enhances digital tasks from content creation to insight extraction. Who could benefit from this? Anyone who is information rich and time poor. And I'm sure you're most like me. I am definitely in that category. This is also good for learners. This technology trains the untrained faster than anything we have ever seen for learning new digital skills, learning how to code, things like that. Who benefits from this? New hires to your organization that need to get caught up to speed on how things are done here, and professionals that are in new roles throughout their career. As you move from one discipline to another, there's a lot of learning that needs to take place, and that can help with this. Professionals in the business also are learning skills that were traditionally in IT organizations, such as how to code, how to build dashboards, how to do data science work. This is for them. We refer to them as citizen creators. So you have a problem that knowledge worker efficiency can help. You've been away from the office and you come back and your inbox looks like mine, absolutely full. You've got to work your way through it. You can work with the emails by copying and pasting text into chats with secure large language models. And we've even built agents that can reach into that email for you. So I've told the LLM, create a 2-sentence summary of this email, extract action items for a fictional person, and any relevant deadlines. If you receive work update emails or operational history updates that are just this long, giant string of an email, you can copy and paste it into here. And then within a matter of seconds, the LLM has structured, summarized, and pulled out and organized the content that you need at your request. The next problem you may have is that if you have deep technical knowledge in a certain field, you may have challenges communicating the value of your ideas to non-technical decision makers. And you may have received this feedback before. Your proposal is too technical, you need to rewrite it. And you're thinking to yourself, I've rewritten this 3 times. I don't know how to say this in a simpler way. You can collaborate with the AI on this revision. I've told it to rewrite this proposal, highlighting the business value for a non-technical audience, and then I gave it my draft. And within a matter of seconds, it has reworked that draft with very specific targeted languages and has reorganized the presentation of the ideas to be more suitable for a non-technical audience. This can be revised by you or continued revision through the AI and guiding it to polish your message to help you get the kind of outcome you want out of the meeting that you're going to. The third problem we have is that we don't always have the same technology systems, and we often get new ones on a regular cadence. Sometimes working with that system requires learning a new skill. This is a great educator for learning new digital skills. It codes very well. So I've asked it to explain how to write SQL code like I'm 10 years old and give me an example. And because I was so specific with what I wanted, it is giving me instructions on the key elements of a SQL expression with explanations, drafting example code with a 10-year-old use case example here, and then explaining what each step of that does. It is a good teacher as a beginning educator for learning a new skill, but it doesn't stop at the introductory level. As you get more comfortable with these technologies, you may want to automate certain engineering calculations or certain workflows. If you articulate what you want, such as this prompt here to say use reservoir engineering principles, write a Python user-defined function for performing rate transient analysis, it will draft that function in short order, allow you to review it, and you can implement this code in your development environment. And as this technology has matured, you can even tell it to execute the code. It has also learned how to work with images. So its utility in the past was only on text. Now it is on images as well, and many different multimodal forms of media. So not all of the data that we work with is text. I've told it that I'd like it to analyze this chart, and I just copy and pasted the chart into the chat. And in a matter of seconds, it has given me an executive summary calling out the key insights from that picture. So how is this possible? A new deep learning architecture was made by Google researchers called the Transformer. You can read about this architecture in a paper called Attention is All You Need by Vaswani and team. It was written in 2017. This architecture has matured and innovated on by big tech companies over time. But this illustrates the very first LLM. Their innovation was to add a component to this deep learning architecture called multi-headed attention, which allows the network to keep track of important context better as it is used for training and for inference. They trained this model on internet-based data, and then they started to offer it as a service. And this was the model for the first GPT models. What happens when we interact with it, our question is first broken up into its constituent parts. Each word is identified and isolated. These are known as tokens. I've colored them in this way because that word is mapped to a token ID. And this ingestion pipeline turns a word problem into a number sequence problem. The transformer architecture is trained to predict the correct output sequence based on the input sequence. It recursively predicts the next word in the sequence and feeds its prediction back into itself to predict the second word, repeat for the third word, and so on until it has answered you. This is the basic ingestion and output side of interacting with a language model. When we interact with this language model, we are billed in a couple of ways. Your subscription may actually have a pay per token kind of arrangement where you're billed a certain number for the number of tokens that you provided, and you are billed a separate value for the number of tokens that it gives back to you. The second kind of cost model is you pay a monthly flat fee and you interact with it up to a certain limit for that fee. At the LLM level, there are considerations. No sensitive company data should ever be used in a chat with a public LLM that is not secured through an enterprise agreement with your organization. Only include your company data once you have a secure LLM. There are limitations to the large language models. LLMs are trained up to a point in time and then released. They have no awareness of topics that happen after their training date has stopped, without a tool that lets them connect to the live internet. Hallucinations, which are convincing false answers, are possible, and you should verify all results prior to utilization of any answer from an LLM. Hallucinations tend to drop when we provide content for it to work with in chat. At the capabilities level, they fall into two buckets. The first is where it is creating new content from scratch based on what you've asked it to do. It can write code, it can write text, it can provide personal education in many different subjects, and you can use it to brainstorm ideas, possible paths forward. But it can also work with existing content. I can provide it things, as I showed in these examples, provided things to perform abstractive summarization, extractive summarization, the revision of code, and the refining of text. Now, while you do not need to learn how to code to benefit from this technology, there is a new skill that you need to learn known as prompt engineering. You can find many online resources that can give you great tips on prompt engineering, but the first one is to give the bot a persona. Explain to it what it is specifically you want to do. Be clear with your instructions. Use detailed, complete sentences. All of us have experience with talking to a computer via Google search, where we bark keywords at it. That isn't how we talk to an LLM. Think about lining out a junior employee to do a task for you, and be very specific about what you want. Specify the format of the answer. If you want a 2-paragraph summary, if you want a 2,000 word essay, if you want a table, if you want code, specify that in your prompt, and it will produce it in that format. And provide any helpful data or examples as you can in the chat. An LLM is the Model T of text-based work. What the very first car did for empowering an individual to more efficiently travel to where they want to go without relying on a train or a wagon or something like that. That is how you should think of this knowledge worker efficiency. It is making you more efficiently able to achieve the end result that you want without relying on a lot of IT infrastructure. But as more people began to interact with language models that were trained on the internet, it became very clear that there was no way for a language model to be trained on everything that would be useful to everyone on the planet. I mentioned they were trained on the internet, but a lot of what we need access to is our proprietary information that is not publicly available. So there was a paper written in the Berkeley, blog post written in the Berkeley Artificial Intelligence Research blog known as The Shift from Models to Compound AI Systems, where they articulated the need for an ecosystem of resources that have all the context that can be picked up on the fly between the user and the language model to enrich the conversation dynamically. An example of compound systems that we've been built here are known as agents. Technology, the field, and corporate can work together to define the specific role and responsibility and data access and capability of agents that are focused on a very specific business vertical in the organization. And so we can have many agents that are able to access all the data we need. Speaking of the data, every agent has a system prompt which explains its purpose and role and what tools it has access to and how it should interact with the people using it. That system prompt articulates all of the connections that we have established to the internet, to our document repository, to any database that we wanted to have access to, and also to existing content that professionals have already made, training videos, and any existing dashboards that are online. It can become aware of all of these, and it will intelligently decide when to utilize these resources to get the person using it the information that they need. We're going to dig into how it works with unstructured data, and it can hit the document repository directly, or we can add the documents to a vector database. So let's talk about vector databases. So if This knowledge worker kind of paradigm is the first kind of car. The enterprise efficiency paradigm is like a modern vehicle where it has tools inside it that will allow it to ingest external data, include internal data, and it can autonomously drive itself at the direction of the driver. The big idea of enterprise efficiency is that with fresh data, your context, and more skills, this adds value by timely data retrieval, the utilization of official documents, and the automation of digital work. So who could benefit from this? Everyone. Here is an example of an agent utilizing one of our external data subscriptions. I've asked it to create a plot comparing two oil futures. It is using that subscription, writing a query to retrieve the data, fetching it, and then writing the code that builds the visualization that can be interacted with by the user in a matter of seconds. This can be used to better access industry activity, leverage subscription data, and stay on top of governmental affairs that could positively or negatively impact your operations. An example of the vector database using proprietary data, we have how-tos, workflow documentation, all kinds of content that we stored in the vector database. The first one that I have here is actually documentation of our vector database that we call Cognitive Cache. I've asked it a question and I need to know who to talk to. It reached out and used the documentation, came back with an answer from that documentation, and then cited its work. We force the agents to always cite their work when they're working internally. We never want to put a professional in a position where they have to trust the AI. It always has to provide a citation with a clickable link to the content so that the person can read that content themselves. We can use this architecture to surface policies, procedures, manuals, training, and presentations. We can also access structured data via databases. A particular agent has access to a database, and I've said, give me the first record for the wellbore completion table. It is doing a skills citation where it is writing its own code and showing me the code that it's writing, and then executing that code, retrieving the information from the database, and presenting it back in the chat. The skills citation, when it is creating a novel solution to something you've asked, is another form of transparency that we want to give to the user. So how is this possible? When you talk to an agent, your prompt first goes to the agent. The agent takes your prompt and asks the LLM, which resource should I use? The LLM answers it, says use the vector database, and then the agent initiates the vector database call. That tool runs and produces a result that is appended by the agent to your prompt, and the LLM uses it to answer you with the citation to the document. This is known as retrieval augmented generation. So let's talk about how that vector database just did its search. A concept of vector embeddings is necessary to understand when we're talking about RAG. When I add a document into an ingestion pipeline into a vector database, the first thing that happens is that the contents of that document are chunked. They are broken up into semantically appropriate blocks. Each block of text is fed through an embedding model. That model is trained to identify topics. The different models have different number of topics that they are trained to identify, and it produces a list of topic scores. This particular model is trained to identify 1,536 topics. So every chunk now has a vector in 1,536 dimensional space. The vectors all have the same magnitude, they just have different orientation in that space. Each line item, each chunk, its text, its vector embedding, and a link to where that document came from are stored as line items in a vector database. Once they are there, when I had asked the agent to do the lookup and it decided that I needed to use the vector database, my prompt was also ran through the same embedding model, represented by the gold vector here. The agent gives that to the vector database, and for every document and every text chunk that is in there, a comparison is done, comparing my prompt vector to every chunk vector. This is known as cosine similarity. It is one of several search algorithms that we aggregate together, but the closer that my prompt vector aligns with a chunk vector, the higher score it gets. The farther apart the vectors are, the lower the score. We have a threshold on how good of a match, and once that threshold is applied, the two chunks that are appropriate to use to answer the question based on the prompt are then appended with my prompt, plus the document title, plus the link to the document. The LLM will construct an answer for me. Moving on to process efficiency, the big idea here is that these are targeted LLM implementations, which significantly reduce investigation time and maximize planning time. What can benefit from this? Processes with heavy reading requirements, think offset well analysis or well planning, processes using comment fields from database, think safety reviews and things like that. So you have a problem. You have a reading heavy workflow. You have to read through all of the subsurface data and operational histories for the surrounding wells that already exist when we're going to drill a brand new well. And you need to find where we had drilling hazards in the past from this corpus of content. You have a needle in a haystack problem. Every time this work needs to be done, an engineer has to read thousands of entries to look for the really useful one. And this is typically per well, it's hundreds of entries per well. The truth is that most of those entries on every well are benign. It's just a normal operational update. And there's a small percentage of them that indicate we had a problem downhole at this depth and this was the problem. We want to use the language models as a magnet that pulls the needles out of the hay, and then the engineer just deals with the needles, rather than the engineer spending their time searching the hay for the needles. Once we can have an LLM classify thousands of records in our unstructured data, we can turn off the benign updates and reduce the reading workload by 90%. So now the engineer is spending their time only interacting with the records that they can use for then planning how to mitigate the issues that they had on the so they don't happen on the upcoming well. We can present the LLM insights back in any dashboarding system because we're writing the answers down to a database. And any dashboarding tool, any app you want to use, you just sit it on top of this and build the interactions. We can present the actual content that it saw plus the extraction details. Another example of this is that we need insights from all comments. The first example, there were many different types of updates coming to a system, and we needed to find one specific type. But there are some workflows where data only flows to this system once something has happened. So all of the content is relevant. But the challenge is that working with this content, it doesn't have good metadata, and it's just a whole bunch of comment fields. We can task the LLM programmatically with the instructions from the professionals that need to work with it to enrich it, add new columns of data to this. I want a column that gives me a one-line summary of the paragraph. I want a column that gives me the Reader's Digest version, pulling out the key points. And I want a column that classifies every entry into one of 30 categories that I care about. With this AI insight blended in with the data, we can now put any dashboarding tool we want on top of it, and we can slice and dice this unstructured data that was previously unusable for aggregation and trending. And now, within a matter of seconds, we can see, are we improving? Or are we getting worse at this? If I were going into this area, what were the historical issues that we ran into previously? All of that is now possible because the AI has just enriched the data, and now all of our BI tools are AI powered. We can also process images. I mentioned that we can put pictures in chat, but we can also programmatically work through images. We have cameras on our facilities, and we have AI workflows on those cameras already, but it's a lot to train a custom vision model. And so we said, well, let's see what this LLM can do. So we can programmatically send it pictures from the cameras. And I've asked it here, how many thief hatches do you see? How many are open and how many are closed? And in a matter of seconds, we didn't explain what a thief hatch was. It just understood that. It said, I see 12 thief hatches, 0 are open, and all 12 are closed. So let's move on to the formula for effective AI solutions. It is a combination of high quality data plus powerful computing plus innovations in AI in the marketplace and internally, plus a cross-discipline team, plus AI ethics and governance. All of these things, when working together, add up to an effective AI solution. Digging into this a little bit, we have spent as a company a decade on improving the quality of our digital data and the distribution of it from central repositories. We have cloud computing capabilities, on-prem computing capabilities, distributed computing capabilities, and we're always looking for new computing hardware to help us in creating resources that are useful to the organization. The marketplace is constantly innovating, and we keep our eyes on that, looking for secure ways to interact with it. And we just stay in tune with them so that we can incorporate the latest and greatest once it's safe to do so. To build this platform and this capabilities required many different deep technical skills to create a tool that everyone can use that is very easy for any user to use it. But the creation of it was a considerable effort. With this technical prowess on top of this innovation, we partnered with legal, HR, and other stakeholders in digital security to come up with 4 tenets. We would only create solutions as long as we adhere to these. We want secure innovation. We don't love technology so much that we're willing to risk or compromise the integrity or safety of any person, any of our systems, or any of our data. We want no surprises. We want to have estimates of how much things will cost, what their capabilities are and what their capabilities are not, and what they have access to and how we control that access. We have a zero trust policy that we train everyone to have. This is a useful tool, but do not take it at its word. Utilize the citations that we have presented to you so that you make the best choice you can with the tools that we've provided. And we want to bring the business along. The education of the organization is a priority for us. A well-designed tool that no one uses does not add value. These technologies only add value when professionals that are close to problems use them so that they can handle their responsibilities in a more effective and efficient way. There are some domains of consideration. The first is on the AI capabilities layer. We do not give this AI unlimited access to our systems. Any agent or AI solution only has very specific access to certain systems. We have intentional data abilities. These tools can only read from sources. We do not let them write to sources. So we don't want someone to say, database agent, delete all the financial database, go. And it writes the code and deletes all of our financial data from our cloud database. We don't want that to happen. So they only read from sources. And if an agent is doing its work and it's getting sideways, or it's not performing to the user's expectation, we can stop the agent's work while it is in flight. From a compliance perspective, countries and states are developing their own AI governance rules and regulations. We work closely with legal to stay on top of those so that we can be compliant with them in the areas that we operate in. And any novel new use case, we collaborate with HR and legal before we implement a brand new way of using this tool to ensure that we have legal and HR and ethical support for using the tool in this way. For example, we don't use this technology to monitor people in any way. There are cultural impacts of AI, and it's a spectrum. Seeing a capable AI system do something, people respond to that in different ways. And on one end of the spectrum, someone can see that and feel like a professional existential threat. And others can see that exact same thing happen and become so reliant on using that tool that if that tool was not present, they couldn't do their job. But those are extreme examples. But all of us, as AI matures and as it becomes capable within our organizations, we're going to feel a twinge of relevance anxiety. The role of a professional becomes so important now because the AI can do stuff, but it needs a professional to tell it what to do. And it needs a professional to handle being responsible for the action that's taken by the organization. No AI will ever have the responsibility of the enormous capital decisions that are made in oil and gas companies, the safety and security of the people that are in the field and the environments and communities we work in, or the decisions about where capital should go, where work should be focused, all of those things that have major meaningful material outcomes to the organization. We want that done and owned by a person. These tools are to help that person in achieving that, but not taking that responsibility from them. There are some operational risks. There could be a temptation for decisions to be made about automating away entry-level jobs. And we warn against that for the benefit of the company throughout its life. We need to leave on-ramps into organizations for young professionals. And we need entry points. This is crucial for the long-term strategic benefit of an organization because we want these AI systems ran by competent, experienced professionals. Well, if we don't have an on-ramp of young professionals to become competent, experienced professionals, in 20 years, we're going to be in a world of hurt for a workforce. The other consideration is that any of these AI systems are running in the cloud, and you need to have access to the internet to benefit from it, whether it's in a workflow or for your personal use. Any separation in internet connectivity results in that workflow or that task being interrupted and offline. So be very thoughtful about what kind of things you begin to automate and utilize these technologies for, because it just takes a construction crew digging a hole next to the highway to clip your internet line, and now you're offline. In conclusion, we want professionals to use digital efficiency to focus on value. That's why we are rolling this out. No matter how capable AI becomes, it will never be culpable. It is possible to build a singular interface which gives all of our professionals all of these capabilities so that they can handle their responsibilities more effectively. There are multiple kinds of interactions that this technology can be interacted with and implemented. There is a combination of attributes that add up to effective AI solutions. And no matter what digital challenges you're facing, Enterprise AI can help. Thank you. Your feedback is important. Enter your section in the DL evaluation contest by completing the evaluation form for this presentation. Visit spe.org/DL, #SPEDL. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bo. I mean, I mean, you couldn't have touched on a topic so passionate and I'm so passionate about, right? I mean, I would like to summarize it as the what, the why, and the how, and you specifically captured the entire spectrum of the use of the scenarios, right? From governance, right, to talking about how to ensure that your pipelines are clean. Talked about the architecture, which I think is fantastic the way you covered it, right? So, I mean, for us in the audience, I mean, it's clear. It's not a matter of when. It's not a matter of if AI is going to take your jobs, like Bo has just mentioned, right? It's how prepared are you, to be part of that wave of the new technological advancement, because we move from the different stages of the internet, from the internet version 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's going to increasingly get complex like that. We are moving from technical data being in legacy systems to modern cloud environments, LLM becoming the glue that ensures that we don't lose that institutional knowledge that Bo has just mentioned. For our engineers, 20 years ahead, trying to synthesize a report that was written like 15 years ago or something, right? So at this point, I will pause for questions. I see a question from Gideon, but before Gideon just steps in, right? I'll just start the conversation with Bo. As someone who is currently, involved in rolling something like this out, in an organization, I think one of the key challenges I see, and you've mentioned that being the data. We have this large amount of data in our corporate data stores. I mean, if you look at it, more than 60% of it being unstructured, right? With a large bunch of it being structured. That's one leg of the question. But my worry is, when do we move from POCs to actual scalable enterprise products? Because you see POCs run at different levels across the organization using snippets of data which has been enriched and cleaned for that purpose. When do we move from that to actually adding value and being able to communicate that value to the senior leaders to see that this investment that has been made is worthwhile? I don't know if you see what I mean, right, Bo?
Yes, yeah. I think all of us are going to have different leadership cultures that we have to work in. Devin is very fortunate to have very forward-thinking leaders in the C-suite, and the encouragement and support that they've put behind these AI efforts have made them possible. We have tools and communities of practice. We put a lot of effort into education. I personally spent 6 to 8 weeks training as many people who would come. And we've built resources and teams to facilitate an AI culture. and we have leaders in place that believe in it as well. And so that combination of attributes up and down the leadership ladder has really made all the difference for us. So our tool is used every day by hundreds of people across the entire organization. And we have a belief in our professionals. We want to empower them with this technology, and we want to celebrate their innovations. We've built a wide capability that we want the business to run with and have them innovate with use cases for it. And we come along and support them in that innovation. That is really a strategy that we believe in and that we've seen fruit born in. And so a belief in our people is kind of our one of our best strategies, and using these tools to empower them.
Fantastic. I mean, I love the people culture and that angle of bringing in because without the people, right, you can sell these tools if the people are not sufficiently empowered to use them and get the best value out of them. Right. Thanks a lot, Bo. So I see a comment on the call. Gideon, if you want, okay, yeah. So Gideon says, with the fast-paced world of information technology and innovation disruption, what's the probability that AI will replace 80% of human workforce? Will agentic AI lead to a generation of more prosperous humans, or only the high IQ people will survive? That's an interesting one, Bo.
That's a big question. A lot of sci-fi movies have been made on that subject. But I don't think you need to be a PhD level person to interact with these things and benefit from them. Now, in the hands of a PhD, these things are probably going to do amazing things. But I have many children, and I encourage my family members to have very purposeful conversations with it. Use it to teach you a new concept. Use it to learn a new skill, and be thoughtful about what that skill should be. If you're thinking, man, it'd be great if I knew how to code, I kind of feel behind the curve on coding, just start a conversation with it and set up a project that pick a language you want to learn and say, I am just getting started. Create a curriculum for me and help me understand what I need to do, and then spend the time on it. The way because I have to do a lot of research on new stuff, like on my team, like it's all new stuff all the time. Some of the topics, I feel like I understand it. Other topics, I'm like, I am really lost here. I will use the AI to make a map, and then I will personally go on the journey of the map. So if I like to read a lot of books, so I will ask it, give me introductory concepts for this particular subject so I can understand it. Recommend books, recommend papers online, white papers and things like that. And it helps me find that stuff, and then I spend time with that stuff. I just needed to know where to go, and just use it as a navigator, and then go on the journey. Don't let the AI do your thinking for you. Use it for what it's really good at, and use your brain for what it's really good at. No, we don't want to supplant the greatest neural network that has ever been created with an artificial one, right? But the artificial one has its use.
Yeah, fantastic. I love the response, but I mean, for me personally, I love the way you framed it. I think you could have framed it a lot better, right? So it's more of a companion rather than a leader, for lack of a better word, because I mean, constantly we would see the role of the engineer change so I think the fear, maybe that's for Gideon, the fear shouldn't be AI taking your role. Is how can I get better with AI, right?
Yeah.
What areas of my role can I automate? What areas of my role
Yeah.
can I improve? What areas of my role can I ask AI? I mean,
Yeah.
Bo showed a fantastic example of using AI to generate a Python UDF, right? To do some modeling. That's a fantastic use case, So those are ways that you could think of it like a second brain, for
Yeah.
lack of a better word, and with that kind of approach, you would definitely ride the wave.
Yep.
So I see a question.
And
Okay,
I'd
so
like to add something real quick.
yeah,
If you're struggling with thinking of your first use case, look at your work, look at your digital work, your digital tasks, and identify which one of these is harder than it needs to be, and see how AI can help you with that. And then get your feet under you and then explore other use cases.
fantastic, Bo. So I see lots of great comments, in the chat room. Like I like it when you say you should never confuse the hammer for the carpenter. Don't let AI take over the role of your brain. So I think while we are waiting for more questions to come in, I have a question for you, Bo. Like, in terms of trying to prioritize, I mean, you showed something about the structure of the team or that deployed your solution, and which is fantastic because it's a structure I recognize, a multidisciplinary team. But how do you prioritize use cases in a resource-constrained environment? You have engineers also. I mean, I could be a business analyst for an AI project, but I could also be building solutions for another project, right?
Yeah.
How do you then
Yeah.
manage business as usual with?
I think as you're getting started, you should stick with personal projects. They will serve as an educator, and you'll get a sense of what these technologies can and cannot do, and let that inspire you about, well, maybe I could make it a little better. Maybe I could do this, and then it seeded your imagination with a whole new set of creative tools that I can't predict how they'll blossom for you, but they will begin to blossom. And it's going to be a personal journey. You're going to eventually reach a point where you're like, man, this thing is actually really good. And this thing I've built with it is really useful. Other people need to use it. That's when you engage with professional IT teams to show them what you've done. And your experimentation serves as your requirements gathering. And when you hand code over to professional developers and they're using the AI tools, they can interrogate what that's doing and optimize it, right? And so we've seen this pattern a lot where typical AI innovations, if we were building a model or whatever, we'd have to have a meeting, multiple meetings to nail down the requirements of what we're going to do and how long and then we got to write it all down and everything. And then we'll get started with it. And the process was long. Okay. And we're talking months before we have a result that we can see if this was going to be as useful as we thought it was. Now, over lunch, an engineer can go, you know what? It'd be great if we could do X. And they talk to these coding agents and they can try out in an hour, build a working sketch of what the code should be and have enough confidence that, oh man, this would be really useful. That working code is now your documentation. And so the pipeline to transmit that to IT and have them build a supportable, optimized solution just shrank. Like the time it takes got much faster.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Bo. I really, really appreciate the response. So, like looking in the chats, yeah, seeing lots of commendations for Bo. I think your presentation was a great hit, right? So I think the next question I will so just maybe one more for before we wrap up, right? In your experience, I know you mentioned in your presentation you showed the exact workflow, right? We see lots of evidence that even sometimes, even with the best domain grounding and vectorization of of corporate data stores, right? You still get to see AI struggle, and part of that struggle is because of poorly defined data dictionaries, right?
Yep.
I like how you mentioned of always having a citation to prevent overtrust in operational settings, right? But in our industry where it's decisions, you have high risk decisions and high wire decisions, right? That could be made. What could be your biggest skew? Would it be data quality or model selection as the biggest bottleneck?
Getting your data architecture in place and making sure that you've captured all the relevant information you want to be included or used in retrieval of it, that's foundational. While you're developing something that has a user interface and you're like, I'm not really sure what model works best on this, do tests, do trials, run it like a decision for any other vendor you would use. Give prompts to a certain model using that content, try a different model, try a third model, and have a model bake-off. Just like you would do for data science work, if you were trying to build a predictive model, you would build many models and have a model competition. And then you would decide, this is the champion model based on the criteria that I've set, and that one earns the right to be deployed as the production version of that solution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Not to put you on the spot, what was your favorite?
Oh, I can't. I can't. I love them all the same. They're like my kids.
I know.
We do have as many offerings as we can securely provide from a bunch of different providers made available to all of our people. And
Fine.
I'll have seasons of one being a favorite and the other not, but eventually that settles down once you learn what each one is good at for your use case, right? What I want out of an executive summary may be different than what you want out of an executive summary. So a format that is presented to me by this model works really well for me, but it may be too wordy for you. It may not be enough. And then you prefer this model for executive summaries, things like that. You need to spend time with them to develop a preference.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I can relate with the wordiness of the being too wordy and not being too wordy thing you just mentioned, right?
Yep.
So there's a question in the Niebet says, I like when you said we shouldn't confuse the hammer for the carpenter, but more so you spoke on the security of the information we shared on this system.
Yes.
What model of provision make it possible for data sharing by collaboration to help the engineer, who is the carpenter in this case, to make some form of informed decision based on the data?
Okay. If your organization, I'm going to address the security issue first. If your organization has a cloud environment, any cloud environment, Google, AWS, Azure, they have model hosting services that should be compliant with your enterprise cloud agreement with them. And so any model that they host for you, that when your system interacts with it, should be under the same protection that the rest of your data has in the cloud, in that provider, okay? If you're not using a cloud-hosted service, you can go directly to a big tech company's services, but they have enterprise agreements that you need to enter into. And they keep on their side, they secure from their own view and from the view of anyone else, your information. And there's many options to choose from. So if you're looking at, say, we don't have a cloud, we want to use this company's thing, get an enterprise agreement set up before any company data moves on it. Okay. The second one is that you can host certain language models locally on a computer within your organization. It's going to need to be a beefy computer, but you can securely have one natively. That will have a cost upfront and a support cost over time, but no other people outside your organization are going to have any awareness about what is happening on that transaction.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Bo. Thanks a lot. I mean, you captured it very well on the security part, especially in an environment where we have data residency and localization laws, right, in Nigeria. I mean, today, I think for me, and I guess for everyone on the call, today's key takeaway is that enterprise AI is no longer about the tooling, right? It's about the entire system, right? The architecture and the whole 9 yards. It's powerful. Their real impact comes when you combine it with structured data and that domain expertise, to drive those decision workflows that add value in our organization. I mean, what I've heard today, and I'm sure that's the same for every other person on the call, is that successful AI deployment, is reinforced by adoption, by trust, and of having the business environment to drive that operational relevance. So it doesn't just be an experimentation for experimentation's sake. It becomes a natural product, being like a natural worker in the room, right? So on behalf of everyone on the call and the entire leadership of both SPE councils, I would like to thank you for sharing your practical battle-tested insights, I call it, because that's what they are, from the front lines of AI, enterprise AI deployment. Thanks a lot, Bo. And I'll hand back to Akpan.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I can see all of the comments on the chat box, a true testament of the fact that all our members fully understood your lecture. Thank you so much to the amazing speaker for today, data science advisor, emerging technologies, is Devon Energy's Bo Rollins. And you agree with me that the moderator also did an amazing job managing the entire session. The senior business analyst, Renaissance Africa Energy Company, Engineer Emmanuel Ude. Thank you so much. Please, can we give them some virtual applause? Can we give them some kind words on the chat box? Yes, I can see the chats. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And a little way of saying thank you to the both of them. We'd like to welcome a Master of Programs Delivery and Impact, the Programs Chairman of SPE Port Harcourt Section, Solar Robinson, as she manages the certificate presentation. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, good evening, everyone. And thank you so much, Bill, for the fantastic lecture. It was awesome. Thank you so much for the magnitude of information you shared this evening. And our moderator, Emmanuel Ude, thank you so much for the work done. So can you put up the certificate? Okay, so in appreciation of the job well done this evening, we present this certificate of appreciation to Bill Rollins for your invaluable contribution as a speaker for the Distinguished Lecturer Program 2026. The theme is Enterprise AI, Large Language Models and Beyond. This certificate is signed by Engineer Dr. Pringle Egbe, Section Chairman, Port Harcourt Section, and Engineer Ofure Chizi, Technical Information Chairperson, Port Harcourt Section. Thank you so much. Please, let's keep the clap coming in. Let's keep the applause coming in. Thank you so much. And then we have for our moderator, Emmanuel Ude. This is a certificate of appreciation. We proudly present to you for your invaluable contribution as the moderator for this distinguished lecture program, theme Enterprise AI Large Language Models and Beyond, dated Wednesday, April 15, 2026, signed by Dr. Pringle Egbe, our chairman, and then Engineer Opure Chizi, the TIC for Port Harcourt section. Thank you so much. Please, let's put our hands together for him. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so over to you, Ofanon.
Thank you so much, Programs Chair, for your certificates of appreciation to both speakers. Okay, so Simeon, are you ready for the group photograph? Let's do it, and then we move to the announcement and other activities.
Okay, so let's turn on our video so we'll snap our picture. For those who can turn on their video, let's just do that quickly. As many that can turn on their video, so we'll keep a memory for this event. Okay, without wasting time, I think we'll just go. So I'll just say SP from my end, and as many that can say from their end, solutions, people, energy, then I'll snap the picture. So let's go, SPE.
Solutions, people,
energy.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we just have 3 items and we are done with today's event. Of course, speaking about membership, I'd like to welcome the connector of people and purpose, the membership chairman for SPE Port Harcourt section, to tell us about joining SPE Port Harcourt. Emmanuel Agbo, are you on call? I'd like to hear from you, please. Emmanuela Agbo, are you on call? Okay. If Emmanuela Agbo isn't on call, we would like to go ahead with the membership drive. Okay, so SPE Port Harcourt section is the place where all oil and gas professionals, students can be members. Of course, we know the vision and mission of SPE, which is to disseminate technical information. So, of course, we have opportunities for student members, we have opportunities for young professionals, and of course, senior members. We have several membership benefits, which are live technical events like this one you're watching, which is free. We have flagship events in Nigeria Council, from the NICE to the OLEV to the Women Leadership Lecture Series to the student programs, STSC for students, and of course, our Yusuf Mentorship Scholarship for those in the secondary school. So SPE has so many benefits for members. We advise that you join and be a member of SPE today. To be a member, you can send an email on chat, drop your email on chat, and somebody can probably check your email and give you details of being a member. Okay, we have seen the next slide. To be a member, all you need to do is to screenshot what you see on the screen. We have the numbers and the emails of our memberships. Please send them messages and they will respond in 24 hours. Thank you. And of course, I know you'll be a member of SPE Port Harcourt section. Now, however, let's go to the announcements, please. Of course, we have several events coming up which you should mark your calendars. We have events coming up which you should mark your calendars. The first, drum rolls, is the Young Professional Symposium. Remember, I told you that membership cuts across students, YPs, and senior members. So this is for the YPs, young professionals. The theme is positioning Africa for global energy leadership opportunities for YPs in a changing energy landscape from the 23rd to 24th of April, live in Port Harcourt. So please make sure you register. Of course, we have the STEM fair for secondary school, empowering young minds for a sustainable energy future. And of course, redefining energy through technology. Do us, okay, Emmanuel's on the call already. Do us a favor and register. Emanuela, want to say anything as the membership chair for SP Port Harcourt section?
Yeah. Good evening, Ofofonono. Thank you very much. Just as it was my turn to speak, the network just knocked me off. Good evening, everyone. I want to just say a big thank you to our speaker and to our moderator, whom I personally know. I've worked on a few IT projects with him. I think this topic is really timely, and it's great that SP Port Harcourt decided to host it. Okay, for membership, right? I want to encourage everyone to be a member of SP. And I'm going to start with sharing a personal story as to why being a member of SP is important. There was an event that I saw happening in Port Harcourt, and I wanted to attend the event, right? Trying to register, I found out that it was a paid event, and you have to pay like hundreds of thousands of naira. And I looked at all the speakers on the stand. Every one of them have been in our SP podium, right? We have had mentorship sessions with them. Some of them have spoken to us. And I said, these are the things that we as SP members should get for free. And if you go outside the space of SP, you have to pay heavily for it. So long story short, there's value in being an SP member. Value in terms of the connections that you make, the people that you would meet, the impact on your career. So if you want to be a member of SP, either in Port Harcourt, Abuja, or anywhere else, I would encourage that you reach out to me. I'll drop my contact on reach out to me, and I will happily guide you through the process. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Simon, can we see the slides for membership for SP Abuja? For those that would like to be members of SP Abuja, we have the slide on the screen. Take a screenshot. Of course, we have our membership chair on the call, Dr. Ogenerume Ogolo. Of course, the secretary is also on the call. So please, if you want to be a member of SPE Abuja, please take a screenshot. Simon, can we have that screenshot, that slide for SPE Abuja for on events, please? So those that would like to join SPE Abuja would take a screenshot and contact our membership chair. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have two events coming up. The NICE, our biggest flagship events for the council. If you have not registered for NICE, you should visit our social media platforms or take a screenshot of what you see on your screen and register for NICE. Of course, see our membership for Abuja, 77,500 naira for membership. Please take a screenshot, send a DM to Engineer Ogenerume Ogolo, or you can chat him. He's on the call and he will guide you to being a member for SPE Abuja. Ladies and gentlemen, wrap up the event with a closing remark. Of course, who would take the closing remark than the man that serves SPE Abuja as the section chair? When he became section chair, his key mandate is culture of excellence. On his mandate, we all stand. Help me welcome Professor Ikechukwu Okafor for his closing remark. Over to you, section chair, for your closing remarks, sir.
Okay, thank you, Akpan. Good evening, everybody. Can I be heard?
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay, I will just have to stand on an already established protocol to say a big thank you first to Bio Rollins for an amazing session, Enterprise AI, Large Language Models, and beyond. It was quite an innovative one where I am very sure we've taken quite a handful of lessons and a handful of inspiration to do more in this concern. I want to thank my border section chairman. He's my brother, my friend. Yeah, my younger brother, my friend. Dr. Pringle, for allowing us collaborate on this. I want to thank every board member, SP Abuja and SP Port Harcourt, that is on this call, from the Secretary of SP Abuja, the Programs Chair for SP Port Harcourt, and every member who had put in their effort, Ufure Chizi, the membership chair, everyone who had put in their effort to ensure that we had this amazing program. I'm not forgetting the moderator, Emmanuel Ude. You did an amazing job. We learned a lot. It was quite a beautiful experience for all of us. And this is what SP stands for: technical dissemination of knowledge around what we do in the oil and gas space, and even emerging spaces around the oil and gas industry. I'm sure you've learned, and I'm very, very certain I've also learned. I think more than just this, we should do more like this, SP Abuja and SP Port Harcourt, because I mean, it can only get better from here. And on behalf of the board of SP Abuja and the amazing people of SP Port Harcourt, I say thank you for allowing us have this session. Funny enough, I am in Port Harcourt as we speak, and then that makes it even the more amazing. Let's have a wonderful night, and thank you, Bill Rollins, again. Thank you, everyone who had joined. Good evening, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Section SP Abuja. You can give me some virtual applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I can see many Abuja folks on the call, even though our section chair left us to Port Harcourt. It is fine. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chinazar. We see you on the call. Abdurafi, we see you on the call, and all the board members. Chisom, we see you on the call. Thank you, Bo Rollins, and thank you so much. My name is Ofofonono Akpan. My pleasure, as always, is always to serve as your MC for such events like this. And thank you. See you on our next event. And bye for now. We have 2 minutes to network. You can unmute your mic and say hi to 1 or 2 people, and then wrap up the call. Engineer Dumeme Monday, I see you. Thank you so much. Bye for now. Unmute your mic, network, and in 2 minutes, someone will end the call.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Good session. Thank you. Good
Thank
to
you,
have you.
everybody. Great to
Thanks to Abuja session. Dr. Ike, I greet you.
I greet you, Dumene.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I greet you, sir.
Well done. Abdurafi, thank you for joining. Good night, everyone.
My chair, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah.